Hey folks, Jason Berry here. About a week ago, here on the Connect and Support Triad page, as well as on LinkedIn actually, I put out a survey to ask, um, as a business owner, what specific topics would you like to prioritize for a weekly perspective or weekly chat? I'm a certified business coach here in Winston-Salem with Action Coach, Team Hauser, which has had we've had our firm here for 10 and a half years now at this point. I've been with the firm for going on three and a half years, something like that. And I'm a small business owner prior to that too. So I had a couple of retail stores up in the Boone area, Boone and Blowing Rock. Worked in that business for 20 years and came down here about 4 years ago. So that's just a little bit about my history and who I am. Thank you guys for your feedback on what topics you'd like to hear about. And it looked like the one that stood out this week. And thank you, Jennifer Hollowell, for the great idea to share some perspective on business weekly in the group. So I just want to make sure I get that in there because this was Jennifer's idea. So it looks like the topic that stands out for this week is how can I build my business so that I attract more A-plus customers. So this is obviously really interesting and really important in business. So I want to speak to that for a couple of minutes here. You know, there's a lot to dig into on that. The clients that I work with, I mean, we work on this for weeks and months, and then work to continue to curate what we've implemented in the business to refine it and make it even better over time. So I'll try to condense down and just do a higher level overview of some of the ideas that'll get your wheels turning, your juices flowing on the topic here. So the way I usually start this conversation or this thought process with clients we're working with is, so you've got a client base, and let's just say there's 100 clients. Okay, what percentage of those 100 clients would you consider to be A plus? A lot of times, what I hear from a client is when I first start working with them is 20%, 25%, 30%. Some have a pretty solid customer base, or they've been around for a while, so they've eliminated some undesirable customers. So they might be upwards of 40 or 45% A plus customers, but that's rare. So let's just say it's 30%. So if 30% of your customers are A plus grade, you know, by your definition, then what would the business look like if 80% of your customers were A plus customers? And usually the reaction I get when I ask that question is people sit back in their chair, their eyes get big and like, wow, that would change a whole lot in a short amount of time, right? So this goes back to 80-20 rule, right? 80% of your headaches and problems and stress and energy suck from your customer base comes from 20% of your customers, which are your C or D customers. So actually, let me pull up my camera here and show you something real quick. Make a note. Let me see if I can switch cameras quickly. Yeah, there we go. So we've got to grade our customers, right? So we've got to have a rating system. So out of those 100 customers, A, B, C, and D. A stands for awesome customers. B stands for basic. C stands for, man, we can't really deal with these people. And D, these people need to go away, right? It's just no two ways about it. And the 20%, this is the 20% that creates 80% of the problems in the business, right? So we need to fire these customers. And I understand that is easier said than it is done, because especially if you're not in a strong profit position or cash flow position, hey man, the notion of kicking out customers right now, that sounds like a big challenge for me with my cash flow. So let's just think about it this way. If you could protect a lot of that 80% of your bandwidth and energy and stress level from this, what could you do with it? You could put that energy into getting more of these and more of those, right? So that's really what this first decision is about. Kicking this out so that we can regain this 80% of bandwidth and energy and attention and focus on what we do want more of. Okay? So this is kind of like a power move to protect our time and energy. And really our time and energy is what everything comes down to in business. You know, how are we managing our time and energy and our focus? So awesome clients and customers, you know, we need to think about what makes them awesome and list those attributes. And the way to grade customers, you know, let's maybe take a half step back here. So how do we even grade these A, B, C, and D customers? Well, really what we need to do is start here, right? We need to come up with a list of attributes of exactly what our most desirable customers look like, how they behave, how they interact with us. Do they pay on time? Do they question our pricing, or are they do they trust that the value's there and they're happy to pay the prices that we quote or have listed? You know, what are all those characteristics? And I would challenge you, it's really easy to come up with, you know, 3 to 4 characteristics of what makes up an awesome customer. What I challenge you to do is come up with, you know, 10 to 12 characteristics. 10 to 12 characteristics to make up an awesome customer. And then we need to go through our customer list and grade every customer against that. So let's just, for a round number, let's just say we come up with 10, right? These are 10 attributes of an awesome customer. So let's just say that customers that we grade and check off the box, let's say we check off 8 to 10 of the boxes of these 10. That means they're an awesome customer, an A+ customer. And let's say that if we check 6 to 7 of those boxes, they're a basic customer. And maybe it's 4 to 5 boxes of these boxes checked only out of 10 means they're a C customer. And this is 0 to 3 down here. Okay, so like, how do you grade customers? This is one pretty quick and easy way to do it. So we've got to start by grading our customers, and once we've graded them, kick out the D's. Let's worry about the C's later and focus on the B's. How can we take a customer who's basic, who's only checking off 6 to 7 of these boxes, and move them up to become an awesome customer? And there's a lot of different ways to approach that. So that's where I would suggest starting, is let's move these guys up to here first. Okay? The C's, after that's accomplished or thought through, and there's a plan in place for that moving forward, the C's, we can start thinking about those folks. And what I would recommend doing here is, which way are they likely to go? It might be that, you know, out of the C's that we have in the business, there's a portion of them that we actually want to put some energy in and try to get to here. And there might be a percentage of them that we want to just cut ties with. Okay. And that's based on, you know, kind of like what this looks like. Out of those 4 to 5 characteristics that they check the box off here, the ones that are missing, the characteristics that are missing, what kind of characteristics are those? Is it a mindset or an attitude problem? Because that's probably not something you can help to affect, which means they need to go here. But if they just don't understand, maybe you haven't, as a business owner, you haven't done a great job of helping them understand the value equation of what you provide for a product or service. Maybe just some better education and communication with them can get them to come up to a B customer once they understand that more clearly. So there's just a couple of things to think about there. So once you've, let me switch cameras again here. Once you've graded your customers, A, B, C, D, kick out the D's. Maybe there's some of the C's that you decide you want to kick out as well. How do we treat the A customers differently? It is okay to treat your favorite customers, your best customers differently than all the rest of them because they've earned it. They're exactly your ideal target market, and we want to make sure that they feel special. So in our current customer list, we need to make sure that we take care of our A plus customers, and we need to implement a strategy to move the B customers and convert them to an A customer. And then we talked about what to do with the C's, okay? So that's with your existing customer base. What about new customers coming in? So that's all about marketing and your messaging and how you're approaching the marketplace, right? So this gets into what makes you unique to the marketplace. And this is where we really need to really dial into our target market, okay? So now that we've got our A plus customers loosely defined or lightly defined, the next step for when we're talking about how do we actually move our marketing forward to get more of that, that's a more complex strategy to work on, okay? So that 10 or 12 characteristics that we wrote down for an A plus customer, what I would challenge you to do there is expand it and get much more definitive on it. What are 20 characteristics of a perfect, most ideal A plus customer out of your marketplace, out of your target market? What does that person look like, behave like? What are they interested in? So that we can think about how to position a USP, that's unique selling proposition. That's a marketing term. So we've got to identify our target market first, and our target market needs to be based on, like, what we're looking for needs to be based on that A plus definition. Now that we know who this person is, now we can really think about where he or she spends his or her attention during the day, during the week, on the weekends. You know, are they at kids' ball games? Are they church goers? Are they people who eat out a lot? Are they, what kind of restaurant do they eat out at? If they spend some time on social media, is it Facebook? And where on Facebook is it? Because there's probably 3 or 4 distinct different ways to engage Facebook, right, as a consumer. And everybody behaves a little different and engages that platform differently. And do they spend time on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn? You know, where is their attention? The most valuable commodity in the world's history is people's attention. So the task of marketing falls flat. You know, the investment of marketing becomes an expense and falls flat when we don't do our due diligence in identifying our A plus target, so that we can think about where do they spend their attention, what are they looking at, what kind of social media or news or groups do they hang around in, what's their environment look like, where do they invest their attention, so that we can think about how to engage their attention in those places and at those times. And when you have that part of the thought process dialed in a bit, now it's an opportunity to think about what can we communicate to this A plus target market at the right place at the right time that's going to resonate with them. And that goes back to what I was talking about with USP. what about us, the way we do business, what we sell, how we sell it, the type of relationships we form, what is it about us and the way we do business that will resonate most directly with that specific target audience? Now we're starting to get some direction for our marketing that can actually go somewhere. Okay, so identify A+ target, define what that looks like. 20 characteristics. It's easy to come up with 4 to 5. Getting to 20, you've really got to dig in and think about that for a little while. All right. Define the A+ target audience. Think about where that person spends his or her time and attention and when. Think about what USP, what unique selling proposition, what is it about your business and the way you do business that is important to them specifically, so that you can think forward on how to communicate that effectively through whatever marketing mediums you decide are the best strategies to get in front of their attention at the right place and the right time. So this, rightfully so, probably seems a little bit overwhelming because there are a lot of different moving parts. This is not something that gets dialed in a week. And like I said, this is months worth of work that we do with our clients to refine and test and measure and refine, test and measure and refine until we really get things really dialed in. And then, 3-4 months into it, we really start to see some results. We are starting to attract out of the marketplace a whole lot more phone calls or visits from customers that we are excited to work with. And man, if that doesn't change the demeanor of the business in a heartbeat, I don't know what does. Working with more of the folks that bring you energy and really resonate with who you are and what you're doing as a business, man, it changes the whole ball game. And then there's a lot of other places to look at, and we'll dig into some of those other topics to dig into how do we increase our profitability, how do we work with the team to engage that the right way. So we'll get to all those topics. This is just week 1 here, right? So if you've got some specific questions about that, I'd love to have you, throw it in the chat here or make a comment. You're welcome to reach out to me directly to send me a private message. It's not too difficult to find my phone number and email on LinkedIn. I think it might even be on Facebook somewhere. But hey, just reach out to me. I'm happy to meet with any business owner that would like to have a 20-minute, just short strategy session, if nothing else, to discuss this specifically. Or if you're a business owner and you want to have a full-blown strategic coaching session, I'm happy to do that too. We've got a couple of criteria to do that. Happy to do that at no obligation, no pressure on your end. But you're going to have to answer a couple of questions. There's a short questionnaire. But I'm happy to do that because, man, that session is just packed with value and can really help you with clarity on action steps for the next 90 days in your business. That session's usually about an hour 15 minutes, something like that. So anyway, thanks for hanging out with me. And thank you, Jennifer, for the great idea to do a weekly perspective. This one is probably running a little bit longer because I'm pretty good at running my mouth here. But there's just so much to share with you and so much perspective that's going to be valuable to get your business to the next level and prosper. So have a great week and weekend ahead, and I'll look forward to talking to you next week.